Well, I joined the Army in January of 1953. I had an older brother in the Navy at the time. He had joined for 4 years. As it turned out later, I had two younger brothers who both joined the Army for a 2-year period. During that time, they had a draft. But from a little small town that I came from in Iredell, Texas, you know, there was, if you were a male, there was 2 things expected of you. That was you played football and you joined the Army or Navy or something. But my brother, he served in the Navy for 4 years, and he was a little unhappy about some of the things that in the Navy that come unexpected to him. He really didn't expect to be off the shore of Korea lobbing big artillery shells. So I decided to join the Army. No particular reason. I just liked the Army better than I liked the Navy. I don't like the idea of being in water that's 5,000 feet deep. You know, 3 feet deep, I can handle that. 5,000 feet deep, I can't handle that. So I decided to join the Army. Yeah, my 2 younger brothers later joined the Army, and so there was 4 of us men in the family. Mother had 4 sons, and my mom and dad had 4 sons. And for a period of 9 months, all 4 of us were serving simultaneously. It worked out that way because my brother had volunteered for 4 years, I'd volunteered for 3 years, and my other 2 brothers were in for 2 years. So all 4 of us served simultaneously for about 9 months. One of my younger brothers was in Austria. I was in Germany, and then my youngest brother was in El Paso and never got out of Texas. So I don't know whether he was the fortunate one or the unlucky one. I think he was the unlucky one. But I took my training at Fort Hood, Texas in January. It was a really, really cold winter, and you know how it is whenever you're in basic training. You sleep in a tent. You're outside a lot. You know, it was cold. It was tough. It was hard. Basic training was really tough back in those days. I don't know how it compares with basic training nowadays. But after I finished my basic training at Fort Hood, I went to Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio. And I don't know why I was chosen to be in the military police, but back then, military police, a lot of it was image. And it was the same way that way, I think, in most police departments. You had to be like 6 feet tall, you had to weigh a certain amount. I don't think it was really necessary that you have a really high IQ, but you had to look the part. So anyway, the sergeant come out one day and just picked out guys and, you know, and says, you're going to go into military police training. So I took military police training at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio. And after I had completed my basic training, then I was stationed there for a period of about 4 or 5 months. And as a new recruit, we were doing things like directing traffic down at the school. They had a school on base. A lot of people lived on base. We had guard detail. Back in those days, they paid with real money. And so they would have that money fly in on a little airplane, and a guy would walk out with 2 great big suitcases, or maybe 4 suitcases. And the military police would be there with submachine guns and tear gas and all of the armament necessary to take on Mexico. And to this day, I don't know whether there was any money in those suitcases or not. I don't know. Maybe it was just a dummy run. I have no idea. But we were prepared for anything. And, you know, I liked that part of the duty. Parts that I didn't like was the guard duty when they would give us 4 prisoners. These were soldiers that had messed up in some way or another. Most of them were minor offenses, and by that I mean that they failed to report for duty or were AWOL or something of that nature. And they'd give us a shotgun, had 4 shells, and they were a solid brass coated shells so that you could load it and unload it forever and it would never wear out.